Hello everybody, we have a game with the black pieces against Lake Show 98, rated 1574, almost at the 1600 level on Lee chess. We're going to try to get a French defense on the board, but he brings the knight out. Instead of playing d4, we're still going to go with our structure, and he takes and goes into an exchange. I'm going to play knight c6 instead of c6 to try to switch things up. So he develops his bishop. He's trying to castle. Makes a lot of sense. I'm going to develop my bishop similarly like him in the same cubbyhole. Okay, so he castles and is ready to place a rook and give me a check. Fine. Let's see. Let us see. I'm going to put my knight here and just block the file and put it on a weird square to try to create an imbalance because I don't want symmetry. And so he jumps his knight into the center, and maybe he's going to play f4 and try to keep it here. But this hangs a pawn on the square. It also hangs this pawn because there is no check to try to win the knight because the knight can take backwards. So that's weird. I guess I'm going to take, I don't just want to take the pawn, I also want to take the advanced knight. I might as well. So I'm going to take the advanced knight and the pawn and then solidify my bishop on f6, which looks like a nice square. And now I'm just up a pawn. And I don't think white has any compensation for it. So you could just drop it back, but I might as well develop a piece while I'm at it first. And it comes with a threat. So it's clearly a stronger move than retreating because I'm bringing out a piece with an attack. If you were to show somebody both of those positions, you'd have to say this one's better. Okay, so he does this, which is ludicrous. What? How is this guy 1600? Okay, so first of all, he's hanging this. And normally you'd be like, oh, I don't want to waste time. I want to castle first before I do weird stuff, especially with the rook here staring at your king. But since he's making moves like a3, wasting so much time, then I'll waste time and I'll bring the bishop back. There we go. And now we could put it on f6 at any point if he hits it. Okay, now we're ready to castle up 2 pawns. Also we have, not now because his bishop looks, but... Okay, so he puts the bishop here, which hits the knight. We're going to also, it undefends this pawn, just so you know. However, I'm up 2 pawns. I don't want to get greedy, right? I want to stop counterplay. So I'm going to go bishop f6 like intended. If he takes, I'll take with the queen, and we just got another pair of pieces, minor pieces off the board. Staring at his king. My queen's in a really good spot. He's hitting this pawn, which is not defended because the knight's pinned. So I'm going to develop a piece to this square that some people may be like, oh, it's passive, but it solidifies my entire position. It cuts off the rook's access. So the knight's unpinned. It protects the pawn. And now he can never really do anything. I'm going to play c6. I'm going to castle. And the game's over because I'm up 2 pawns with a perfect position. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And then once I have my perfect position, I can put my bishop here and start trading things, right? Okay, so he develops his queen, but it doesn't create a threat. Now's the perfect time to castle. If any of you are ever enticed into kicking this knight, know that you don't want to do that because it lets his knight go here. Again, in this situation, it may be like, oh my god, a fork. But his rook can counterattack your queen. So you need to take that into consideration. However, he has this weird alignment issue. He just disconnected his rooks, and his queen is hanging. So I feel like, although there are lots of moves you can make, this, 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 I'm going to make this one. Not only does it threaten this nasty check which hits the rook, but it pins his rook because the queen's hanging behind it. So it's a nasty move. I don't know what he does. Maybe he should go king e2 or something. But it's not looking good for him. And now that I move this out of the way, it also threatens the fork that was unavailable before, because if he counterattacks the queen now, well, the bishop's covering and his queen's hanging. So tons of tactics. He defends against this threat, right? Because now the rook's protected. But he does not defend against this threat. So we'll do this one. And he takes the bishop. Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to take the queen because I even get a knight. So it's not even 2 pieces for the queen, it's 1 piece for the queen. Okay, but instead he does this, which hits my queen. Okay. I mean, I could just take the rook, because I'm up 8 already. So that'll be 13, he'll take 9, I'll still be up 4. Nah, I'll save the queen. Most forward active square. Okay, so he saves the knight, but does he really? Like, if I go here and bring a rook here, isn't that problematic? Okay, so he takes the knight and I'll be up 5 instead of 4 if I sack the queen. But I feel like if I challenge him, he could take pawns, but I don't care about pawns. Okay, he goes for the queen, but that weakens the light squares, so I don't know about that. Okay, I'm going to go here, which just gets it out of the way. He removes the knight, which attacks pawns, more pawns, rooks. But now I have this check, like we said. So I'm going to give him this check. He has to go here, but then I get to take the rook with check, which is the problem in this line for him. Is that he has to step in front of his own rook. And now he's pinning, so I'm going to take that as well. And now I'm going to take this with check. And he resigned. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's go over that game. Okay, so I tried to get a French, but he goes into the exchange variation, which is this. It's very symmetrical. So like if I put my knight here and my bishop here, he's going to put his bishop here. And then he's going to go c3 and I'm going to go c6. And we're just going to do the exact same stuff and push the same pawns. And I don't want to do that. So I put my knight here because it allows for weird knight maneuvers that will imbalance the game. Okay. So I develop a piece towards the center. I develop another piece towards the center. And then I develop another piece towards the center. Sure, it's weird that I put it here and not on f6, but it controls just different squares. So also keep in mind that although, you know, like let's say f6 is a great square for the knight and c6 is a great square for the knight, if allowed, like if you could on turn 1 put it on f5 instead of f6, then you would do that, because f6 is a great square, but f5 is even better, f4 is even better. It just takes longer to get there, so you don't want to waste all the time. But if you take time out of the equation, f3, f6 and c6, you know, these 4 squares that people always talk about with the knights aren't the absolute best square for the knight, just the most natural square to bring it in one move. So if I go to e7, sure, maybe you could say it's not as good as f6, but the bishop supports f5, so now if I jump the knight to f5, you know, 5 turns from now or whatever, that knight will be even better than if I had it on f6. At the very least, it'll be a more attacking knight than defensive knight. But anyway, he jumps his knight in and this immediately hangs stuff, so that was just dumb and kind of ruined the game. So we took the free stuff and now we're just have a better position. I mean, it's not automatically winning or anything. You can definitely mess this up as black, but it's kind of hard to. because you're so solid with no weaknesses. So you kind of have to throw. So I just develop towards the center and then free stuff. Don't make moves like the A3 guys. That's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that he's 1600 and made the move because it makes no sense. It has no idea behind it. You can't push B4 because the bishop was here and would have hit the rook. So there's no idea behind it. So anyway, we just bring the bishop back because we don't want it stranded. And then when you're up so much material, you consolidate. Piece trades, forced move. We have no weaknesses. And then we consolidate with this awesome move. And at this point, it's clear that white will never have any counterplay, anything, and our position's awesome. We castle, and now it's just picture perfect position. He does this, but it allows for the move that I punished this move. This move looks good because it looks like a rook lift that can attack my king. But I punished it with the one move. I said, what's the drawback? Well, A, disconnects the rooks, and it's important the rooks stay connected generally. B, it creates forkable squares, and C, it pins itself. So by using all the drawbacks, I found probably the best move, and then you can kind of just do whatever to win because it's -6, even though you're only up 2 pawns. And so it's a theme in these games that you're watching where I'm only up 1 pawn or 2 pawns, but the evaluation is +4, +5, +6, and that's an indication of positional control, positional dominance, which is where you're going to get better at chess. You have to know if a move hurts your position or helps it. If you don't know that, how do you know if you should make the move? And so that's why positional chess is where you need to focus your efforts. And then we get into some weird tactical complications. I definitely didn't play the absolute best computer line probably, but -6, you can play whatever you want. Even if it drops to -3, you're still crushing. So, wait, what was I thinking? Oh yeah, here he does this knight move, and now it's -7. Wow. So you can sack the queen. That is the best move. I had a feeling, because you're up 8 points, and oh, but I miscounted. Because when you take the rook, you take the other rook, and you're up even more material. Oh yeah, what did I do? Oh, I brought it back. Still -4, but obviously just take the rook and liquidate. For some reason, I was looking at this rook. I was looking at this one, and then he takes the queen, and then I didn't like this one. So I move my queen, and then I'm just liquidating. Nothing he does makes any sense. This is just a blunder because of this sequence, and the game's over. Okay, so the only mistake is this one not taking the rook, but it's a mistake where you go from very, very super winning to just very winning. So I'll accept this mistake. I was only +8 instead of +10. But like the theme of this game, I don't know why they play the advance from white. Like, what are you hoping to achieve? Like, you're not better, so why would you do that in 3 moves? I don't get it. But I'm always going to try to imbalance the game. So whenever we get these exchanges, I'm not going to play the same as them. So you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to play the opening phase of the game. So maybe just the exchange variation. Good luck in your chess. See you in my Discord. Goodbye.